Ito ang Broad Streamcast Communicators, ang naiba at kakaibang plataforma sa digital broadcast. Mula Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao hanggang sa iba't ibang dako ng mundo. Broad Streamcast Communicators, ang sandigan ng sambayanan mula sa walang labis at walang kulang na pagbabalita, paglilingkod, maglalahad ng mga mapagbuong komentaryo at usaping pambayan para sa kapakanan ng karamihan. Broad Streamcast Communicators, tuwirang maglilingkod ngayon hanggang sa susunod na henerasyon. Buhay Online, chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Ating tunghayan, pakinggan at tuklasin ang mga pangyayari at kaganapan sa mundo ng online. Buhay Online, chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Alamin ang pinaka-latest trends mula sa trabaho at kung hanggang saan na ang narating ng teknolohiyang ito. At ngayon, narito na ang ating host, ang ating Techie Mami, si Jaye C. Bautista.
Hello, good morning. I can't say it's a sunny Tuesday morning, but at least it's a rainless Tuesday morning. Pero ayun pa rin talaga, yung araw ayaw pa rin sumilip. Ang hirap magpatuyo ng labahan, ng babada. But anyway, happy Tuesday everyone, and welcome those who are to the show, our friends who are watching. I don't know, something's wrong. I can't see any names on my laptop screen and also on my phone screen. Talagang hindi ko, makikita ko na lang after the fact. But anyway, we're still okay this week. Of course, as technology naman talaga is kasama sa topics natin araw-araw because we are Buhay Online, right? And in a broad sense or in general na lang, we will be talking about the impacts of technology in our lives, no? We were talking about napag-usapan na natin nga yung effect ng technology, of course, or the internet per se sa ating mga buhay. Yesterday we talked about that, and then I got some emails and texts asking, suggesting some topics or asking about to talk about certain topics. So isa-isahin natin pong daanan or to go over those topics. And one of the topics that natanong sa akin is of course about fake news and all those things, specifically about things that are spreading around about vaccinations and stuff. Diba, na ano naman talaga yan eh. Because what we want to achieve, right, in the world is the herd immunity towards this virus. Kaya in-encourage talaga lahat na magpabakuna na, right? Yung nagbibigay na nga ng libreng bakuna, tsaka yun na nga sa Manila, sa ating Metro Manila, ang ating butihing mayor dyan, si Isko, is already letting people get vaccinated kahit na walang registration or walang appointment. Kasi nga naman talaga, no, at the end of the day, yung sa mga walk-ins, doon sa mga nagre-risk na pumila or mag-antay, parang ano yan, di ba? Parang pagka-chance passenger ka sa biyahe, sa airplane, you stand by there sa airport, tapos kung meron pang seat na natira, pwede mong kunin. Ganon din siguro sa pagbabakuna para ma-achieve yung pagbakuna ng lahat, right? If at the end of the day, meron pang gamot, pero may mga hindi nag-show up, tama, ibigay na sa kung sinong nandun, right? And at the same time naman, di ba, in not only in America, but in a lot of places, a lot of countries, marami pa rin ayaw magpabakuna because of yung fear sa side effects. At the same time, also because of the fake news that goes around regarding the effects of the vaccines. Kaya nga, and ito is because of yan, mga fake news. And ang internet, okay, and technology, ayan, nasama na rin dyan talaga Kung noon pag-hack ang ginagawa to hack into systems, which still happens now, people also hack into the news or the kind of information that's disseminated. Walang magawang talagang mga tao eh. You know, when you think about it nga, a lot of these people that do this, that hack and also spread fake news, these are people who have smarts. Matatalino naman itong mga tao to, walang magawang mabuti sa kanilang oras. So, di ba? So, yung fake news, uh, let's tackle this, okay, a little bit today, all right? What is fake news? As the phrase is commonly used, fake news has become a catch-call term that seeks to discredit a source, typically unaccompanied by any other supporting evidence. That's why nga, diba, itong panahon na to na ang ating mga anak ay masyadong nagre-rely sa pag-google or pag-research, mas naniniwala pa sa nag-google. Pero hindi lahat ng information that you google or anything or even the news that comes out is true, because you have to verify nowadays, especially ngayon nga when you spread something also or you repost or forward information that you see on the net, verify nyo muna kasi nga nauso itong gumagawa ng mga fake news, right? This kind of claim has been used to refer to everything from websites that has been deliberately created to propagate fictional stories and then pass them off as real news, ha? Kasi nga, dahil nga, di ba, magagaling yung mga IT, mga artists, mga IT, naaayos nila ang isang page or landing page to look like it's legit coming from credible online newspapers or companies. Basta ginagawa nila, inaayos na talaga mukhang totoo yung news item, right? So, dapat talaga, we have to be aware of that. Okay? Because nowadays talaga technology makes it all these things possible. Kaya nga, yun na lang, balik na naman tayo sa making technology work for you, not against you. Okay? So, fictional stories to news, from fictional stories to news stories that are poorly sourced, as well as news stories and scientific studies pa that meet the highest standards of their profession. Pero fake news lahat ito. Nonetheless, this material nonetheless has inspired someone to be interested in discrediting them. Yung may mga taong walang magawa, di ba? Imagine they must have too much time on their hands to even propagate such fake news or gumawa ng fake news. Dahil it takes smarts, it takes skill, di ba? Para ayusin mo na magmukhang-mukhang totoong news item na galing sa kunyari sa CNN o kunyari Reuters, kaya basta naaayos nila yan ng itsura, ganun, mukhang legit, right? Ang galing nga ng paggamit ng software or applications or yung skill nila bilang graphic artist or to be a social media something, because so part of the power and the utility of this term fake news is exactly that it can spread all of these or it can put all these ideas into one. Therefore, it allows the person using the phrase to express of a host of related meanings without forcing them to specify or justify which one they mean. Okay? Questionable news is being widely shared. Okay? This is not new, and the overall influence of these types of stories have often been overestimated. But in retrospect, if we think about it, it is easy to see that the trends that led to them rising to prominence now, okay, isipin nyo na lang, yung term na fake news encompasses many meanings para sa gumagamit ng term na ito. No? It also can contain many tensions within a society. It can be used to talk about anxiety over the ever more obvious role of technology in mediating our news consumption, as well as concern about how others are being misled by the news. It also serves to give name to a general mistrust in elite information. So, in mga elite information sources, which have proven themselves fallible and disconnected from the lived experiences of many. So, ang fake news talaga walang ano yan. Kung gagawa ng fake news, Pwedeng tabloid, pwedeng social na news, pwedeng walang pinipili, basta makagawa lang ng fake news, right? Diba? Even sa YouTube, sobrang daming fake news or even fake broadcasts or fake posts, you know, meron pang identity theft talaga na involved dito sa fake news because yun na nga, kinukuha nila yung logo ng companies or na kunyari yan na nagpapadala ng news. And even in the entertainment industry, daming fake news talaga. Kung before, we would say na mas madali ngayong hindi ka makapag-deny ngayon in the entertainment industry kasi live stream tsaka real time na ngayon pagka nakita kayo magkasama somewhere, pero yun na nga nagagawan pa rin ng fake news yan, meron pa rin out dyan yung mga tao kunyari, oy hindi naman kami magkasama ganyan, or nahuli blah blah blah, kasi may mga gumagawa rin ng fake news, fake videos, fake news pa rin yung mga fake videos na pwede mong i-edit at pagduktungin. And that is technology pa rin, right? So, like I said, it can be used to talk about anxiety of the ever more obvious role of technology in our lives. Yun na nga dahil dyan, di ba? Technology pa rin ang gamit sa pagkakalat nitong fake news na to, right? It also serves to give name to a different way of providing information. Hi, Jake. Good morning, Jake. And good morning to other people watching. Hindi ko makita yung pangalan. Alright? Okay, now I'm talking about fake news or misleading or false news stories that are shared widely on social media. Okay? Kasi ang daming kumakalat na ganyan sa social media. Sa YouTube nga rin, di ba? Ang daming fake news. Like yung sinasabi ko. Even yung mga pag-broadcast ng mga TV series and stuff or mga Netflix stuff or mga probinsyano things, ang daming mga spoiler, gumagawa sila ng sarili nilang kunyari episode or future stories or kunyari gusto nilang i-leak kung paano mag-e-end yung story. Yan, fake news din yun. Mga gumagawa ng YouTube channel na wala namang hindi naman verified yung kanilang sources or nagkakabit-kabit ng mga videos para gumawa ng storya. So many things, and that's all likened to fake news too, right? Okay, let's see again, of course, let's examine the role of technology in this fake news, okay? The spreading of this type of fake news then is dependent on a number of different technologies and their related business models. It is founded sa mga web platforms that make it easy to create professional-looking websites. Kagaya ng sinabi ko gumagawa sila ng mga website, they go as far as talagang copying yung mga companies and stuff. Ang maingay yung pusa ng anak ko, yun yung naririnig niyo po. Well, like I said, they make professional-looking websites and make professional-looking social media pages to make it look legit. Kaya naniniwala yung mga tao kasi kala nila yung company na yun talagang buksan nilang page sa Facebook or even sa website, pero actually stolen identities, fake IDs, fake news. Okay. Like I said, it's done on web platforms, and it is profitable because news sites often depend on advertising revenue, which has created incentive to mass-produce content that will be seen by many people as possible, regardless of the quality. So, ito dun sa ito sa Amerika to nangyari, okay? Example ko ng fake news na masama. Fake news stories dating back, okay, to 2016 US election season to. It was from WTOE5news.com. Ang title ng news na yun ng 2016 was Pope Francis Shocks World, Endorses Donald Trump for President. Releases statement, okay? Kung yung headline na yun was totoo, it would have been surprising for a number of reasons, okay? Yung si Pope Francis daw in-endorse si Donald Trump sa election, okay? That would have been not true for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that the Pope, as leader of the Catholic Church, does not typically endorse any political leaders. The name and look of the host site at the time were designed to be similar to any number of local news sites around the world that produce legitimate news. In fact, yung WTOE5 News was part of over 40 sites that collectively created over 700 fake news stories. Oh my gosh. The ability to create not one, but many versions of websites is only possible because web publishing technology, from web hosting to platforms such as WordPress, has become relatively easy to use. Kasi nga, napapagamit na yung accessibility, madali, no? So the first in-depth reporting on this particular story in 2016 was done by BuzzFeed, BUZZFEED, which rose to prominence as an entertainment site focusing on viral entertainment. Totoo. Di ba? Nakikita niyo ba yung hanggang ngayon yung BuzzFeed? Viral sites trying to find content, say a list of mga cute cat photos, yung anak mahilig maghanap ng cat videos din, that will be widely shared on social media and put into a frame. Iba-ibang title, ways of displaying or commenting on the content, diba? So that their version is that one that everybody shares. Often, okay, yung copyright or original content is obscured in this process. Hindi na disclose, okay? Which has led to a trust problem for BuzzFeed's news operation. More broadly, this general business model is a natural outgrowth of how web advertising, which is largely funded by companies such as Google AdSense, this is how it works, okay? Advertisements are placed on sites by third-party vendors, okay? Tapos yung mga site visits are largely driven by search or social media sharing, right? A system which rewards by driving the highest possible number of visitors to a page, di ba? Yun na nga yung ilan ang pupunta sa website mo. For the least cost. It is also the basic reward structure na nakikita natin sa social media, where users often share content, diba? Para to express nila yung sarili nila, and that content is amplified according to what elicits the strongest emotional reaction in others. Diba? Yun naman yun eh. Kung yung post mo, ano yung nakukuhang reaction, doon nagkakaano dyan eh. Nagkakaalaman ng use o ng visibility. A headline, kunyari, that appears in a Facebook feed or from a Google search that contains a shocking, too good to be true revelation will likely to elicit engagement. Ayan ang madami sa YouTube, di ba? Shocking, ganyan-ganyan. Or talaga yung tagline nila, nagbo-border na hindi na sa masyadong creative. Minsan nga, scandalous, malaswana yung tagline. Pero yan, ganyan talaga yung social media ngayon. Even yung mga tool for stories, right? And stuff, or basta para call to action yan pagka interesting sa'yo yung topic, right? Or yung tagline, or yung headline pala for that matter, right? So, even if most of the people who click on a story end up dissatisfied, kasi yung mga fake news, yun nga, parang yung mga spoiler, kunyari, nung araw, nung bago mag-end yung Game of Thrones, ang daming lumalabas na blah, blah, blah. There's a sneak preview on the ending of Game of Thrones. O kaya, yun na nga, yung Provinciano. Meron dyan sa mga YouTube na gumagawa na sila ng channel na papalabasin daw dun yung mga not before seen footage or advanced taping ng Provinciano. Only to be clicked para in-entice ka lang mag-join sa kanyang channel at kunin yung information mo. So, beware of those fake sites. Okay? Kaya nga, like I said, kahit na most of the people who click on those stories or those links end up dissatisfied or do not believe the story and are only sharing it for entertainment, there is still monetary incentive to create that story and attempt to get shared as widely as possible. Yun na nga kasi, na-viral mo na-click mo na, hindi mo na mabawi. So, nabilang na yung click mo, di ba, sa algorithm. News articles are ideal for this as their format and style are easy to mimic. Yun na nga. Kasi simple lang basic. So, yun ang maraming fake news na nagagawa, yun sa news reports. Particularly, if no consideration is given to ensuring accuracy, okay? Ano naman, next naman, the role of social media. When it comes to sharing news, social media drives an increasingly large part of our news, obviously so. Our news consumption, with 62% of adults in America getting some of their news from social media. I think naman din, no, sa atin din sa Pilipinas, meron din. Maraming nakikibasa na ng news. Kasi nga, nag-i-intrude na rin sa social media yung mga news bits, mga news items right? Kasi nagbabayad ng ad. So, of those 62% na yon, Facebook is by far the largest player by consistently resisting calls for it to make the kind of editorial decisions that newspapers and other media outlets traditionally made. So that's, in my mentioning Facebook, ayan yung nangyari 2 weeks ago, right? Ang Facebook na site at ni Pangulong Biden na ina-accuse niya ang Facebook of abetting to this spread of misinformation, especially particularly about the vaccine, right? Kaya nga itong background ko, diba? Ayan. Yan. Vaccine misinformation spreads on Facebook. Okay? 2 weeks ago, this was a very controversial issue that Facebook is dealing with right now. Okay? Ayan pa. So, because of this fake news, itong mga companies like Apple, ayan, okay, I will talk about it right now in connection to this fake news topic. Okay? Isa-isahin muna natin. Fake news, facts. Alright? Okay. And this connection, okay, like I said nga, 2 weeks ago, that was the issue there na ina-accuse ang Facebook na of leading to misinformation or abetting or helping these things, the spreading of fake news. Gumawa na nga ng measures ang Facebook ngayon para i-screen, okay, yung mga news na nilalagay sa Facebook. Alright? Okay? Let's talk about, okay, Facebook because of this, no, yung Facebook requires all employees to get vaccine as company under fire for COVID misinformation. Okay? Dahil nga, ang daming mga ayaw magpa-vaccine because of yung mga misinformation that they get. As Facebook remains under fire amid accusations that the platform has helped spread dangerous misinformation about COVID-19, yung company officials told employees last Wednesday that workers returning to the United States will be required to have the vaccine. In connection to that, no, kasi nga, ano ba yung nangyari? Right? Facebook can lead users down vaccine misinformation rabbit hole. Ayan. Okay? Ayan yung July. Ito yung news, okay? New research kasi into vaccine misinformation on Facebook showed that the platform's content recommendation algorithm can lead users towards rather than away from harmful conspiratorial material. Yung mga conspiracy materials, okay? Ito ang sinabi ng Euractiv. Okay, this is based on an article online that came out from Euractiv, okay? Sabi nila, global advocacy group AVAZ, AVAAZ, conducted an investigation to stress test the algorithm by exploring the kinds of content recommended to new users without a history of interacting with anti-vaccine posts. Alright? Anak, anong algorithm? What is an algorithm? Algorithm, basta these are the analytics and stuff, that happens sa Facebook and that they use now to may nagtanong, what is algorithm? Hold on a second.
The way things work.
Alright. Algorithm, okay. is a process or set of rules to be followed in calculating or analyzing or problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. O yun. So yan ang ibig sabihin ng algorithm po. Alright? Okay, so I was saying na yun nga, yung Facebook kasi under fire because of ina-accuse yun nga, specifically ni President Biden na ang Facebook ay nag-aabet or pinapa-worsen niya yung contention ng mga tao na magpabakuna. Of course, hindi naman yan tinatanggap ng Facebook, okay? Pero yun, itong Global Advocacy Group AVAS conducted an investigation to stress test the algorithm by exploring the kinds of content recommended to new users. The results show that it did not take long before pages spreading the vaccine misinformation, including some already tagged and harmful content warnings or led by prominent anti-vax conspiracy theorists, were being recommended to users, 'di ba? Nagkaroon na nga ng mga groups, 'di ba, na nagrarally against anti-vaccine, 'di ba? Ang dami diyan ayaw talaga magpabakuna. I even know some friends here in the Philippines na talagang anti-bakuna, right? The findings come at a time of increased scrutiny of the role of online misinformation in deterring people from getting vaccinated against COVID-19. At ang Facebook nga ay na-accuse ng ano niyan, okay, ng pag-abet to that, okay, or yung pag-encourage ng misinformation. A few weeks ago, U.S. President Joe Biden told reporters that platforms such as Facebook are killing people by hosting such misinformation. Okay? Algorithmic transparency has been a focus of recent European regulatory measures, with provisions included in both the Commission's recent guidance on the Code of Practice on Disinformation and the upcoming Digital Services Act. Okay? So, iniimbestigahan ngayon yan tuloy yung mga ginagamit na algorithm ng Facebook or ng iba pang social media sites, right? The investigation, okay, as part of the investigation, Avaz used 2 test accounts to like pages containing anti-vaccine content. And then, tinrack nila to sa mga follow-up pages recommended by Facebook. So, over the 2 days na ginawa tong testing na to was conducted. Okay, all right. 109 out of the total 180 pages recommended to researchers contained anti-vaccine content, diba? Suggesting nga, anong ibig sabihin? That the platform's algorithm does very little. Konti lang ang naitutulong nito para i-direct people away from harmful or misleading content of this nature. Kaya nga, hindi nila, yung algorithm nila hindi masyado, kaya hindi na ma-filter masyado yung misinformation regarding the vaccine. Okay? Researchers also found that viewing content concerning vaccines led to the recommendation of pages about autism, even if these pages contained no vaccine-related information. Yes? Are you going to pass through? Kala ko dadaan ka Dadaan ka ba? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Sabi ng Avaz, this suggests that, okay, Facebook's algorithm may have internalized the widely debunked myth of a link between vaccines and autism, and that this could be seen as a form of misinformation in itself. Okay? So, bali-baliin pa natin, i-analyze pa natin kung paano ito nangyayari at bakit ang Facebook yung ina-accuse sa design choice. The findings also nitong test na to suggest that Facebook's recommendation algorithm can serve to push users further into networks of vaccine misinformation. Bakit? Kasi rather than providing them with a way out of it or directing them towards more legitimate sources of information, this is a design choice on the platform's part. Okay? September last year, the report notes, Facebook announced that it would stop recommending health-related groups to users in order to prioritize connecting people with accurate health information. Similar action, however, has not been taken in relation to pages containing health-related content. Si Nate Miller, campaign director ng Avaz, told Euractiv that this was a glaring inconsistency sa policy ng Facebook and that yung existing policies at Facebook regarding misinformation in general and COVID-related misinformation in particular are simultaneously inadequately enforced and not fit for the task. Okay? Anong mga transparency measures? When it comes to addressing the spread of misinformation online, okay? The secrecy of platforms surrounding their algorithmic architecture is a key challenge, di ba? Pag gusto mo i-examine yung algorithmic architecture ng isang platform. Okay? Mahirap yun. It is a key challenge to examine this, as is the lack of data provided by companies to prove that they're taking adequate steps to address issues such as disinformation. Luca Nicotra, sabi nito ni Luca Nicotra, yung campaign director ng Avaz, no? Na lahat naman tinatry nilang gumawa ng mga paraan para ma-address tong issue na to ng disinformation. Kasi nga, ikaw yung social media platform, lalo na yung Facebook ang pinakamalaki, pinaka-widespread na nagpapa-viral ng mga bagay-bagay. Dapat ayusin nila or magbutihan nila na mag-filter naman ng mga ilalabas na information dyan to make sure that it is not disinformation or misinformation. Eh, di ba nga, technology, lahat na figure out na eh. So, pagbutihin pa natin yung Facebook para wag nilang i-post kung alam nilang fake news, right? Okay? The freshly published guidance on strengthening the code of practice on disinformation, illustrates the European Commission's expectations on the anti-disinformation measures for online platforms, okay? Itong code na to is non-binding. The measures are likely to become mandatory following the adoption of the Digital Services Act. Mabuti naman, okay? Both the code and the DSA include a focus on algorithmic transparency, something which Avaz says will be vital to understanding yung impact at pag-reduce ng potential harm caused by misinformation saka fake news, okay? Dito sa mga online platforms. Among the measures proposed are provisions that would require platforms to demonstrate how they've changed their algorithms to counter the spread of disinformation, okay? In that connection, okay, tutuloy ko yung pagdidepensa naman ng Facebook, alright? Okay? Okay? Kasi, di ba, ito yung lumabas yan sa news. Big technology. What is that? Sabihin ko na lang. Basta kasi yung mga tungkol sa Facebook, right? Big tech has vaccine misinformation problem. Ayan. Ito lahat tungkol sa Facebook to. Okay? A serious threat in online settings that fake news spreads faster than verified and validated news from credible resources. Yun na nga eh. Maagang nagiging viral ang mga fake news. Mas mabilis pala na't maaga. Okay? With less than half the United States population fully vaccinated for COVID-19, and as the Delta variant sweeps the nation, the U.S. Surgeon General issued an advisory, that called misinformation an urgent threat to public health. Kaya nasabi ni Biden, Facebook is killing people, right? The advisory said, efforts by social media companies to combat misinformation are too little too late and still don't go far enough. The advisory came more than a year after the World Health Organization warned of a COVID-related infodemic. Okay? Tawag na nga niya infodemic kasi fake news, right? Nagkakalat ng fake news. Yung Apple, actually, magro-roll out ng photo checking system para din i-check yung mga images. Okay, we'll talk about that later on. Tungkol naman sa sa mga protective measures na ginagawa to ensure na hindi fake picture, fake info, okay? Mamaya naman yan kasi actual applications na yan, right? So, I was saying that yung Facebook ngayon is requiring all employees to get vaccine as company under fire for moving misinformation. So, ngayon, syempre, pinapakita nila na sila mismo, minamandate nila yung mga empleyado nila magpabakuna. Okay? Because as our offices reopen, sabi ng Vice President ng Facebook for People, Lori Golar, we will be requiring anyone coming to work at any of our U.S. campuses to be vaccinated. Lori Golar wrote in a statement, how we implement this policy will depend on local conditions and regulations. We will have a process for those who cannot be vaccinated for medical or other reasons, and will be evaluating our approach in other regions as the situation evolves. We continue to work with experts to ensure our return to office plans prioritize everyone's health and safety. The statement did not specify what the process will be for those who cannot be vaccinated. Although cities that have been announcing vaccination mandates for their employees like Los Angeles, New York City, and San Francisco have included accommodations like showing weekly proof of negative COVID tests. However, some say that with the increased contagious spread of the Delta variant, weekly tests aren't enough. Facebook's announcement came on the same day demonstrators from the Real Facebook Oversight Board, or RFOB, a UK nonprofit, descended on the company's Washington, D.C. offices. Lining the front of the building, nagrally sila with fake body bags and protests reading, Facebook disinformation kills. Okay? Yun nila yung sinabi ni Biden na Facebook kills. Government and health officials have been using their public platform in recent weeks to draw attention to the dangers of pandemic misinformation spread through social media. See? Yan ang nangyayari. Ang fake news ngayon, nakakamatay na because kinakalat nila talaga yung na masamang magpa-vaccine, right? Okay? When it comes to sharing news, social media drives an increasingly large part of our news consumption, okay? It is easy to see why, diba? Social media posts are tied up with an individual's emotional experience as well as the user's personal identity. Sharing content online is in part a means of maintaining and expressing an individual's identity. Pero kasi nga, what this filter means can vary widely, as people have many different identities, okay? Meron isang article tungkol sa foreign relations, may be of interest, okay? For whom that issue is a key part of the identity. But if, yun na nga talaga kasi, because ang social media, okay, kahit na sino, pwedeng, of course, pumunta dyan. At the same time, hindi mo kailangan i-disclose yung totoo mong identity. Pag nakikipost ka or nakikichat ka or at the same time you are reacting to certain posts of different people, you can be using any name or identity that you want, right? So I want to display my social group on Facebook. I am unlikely to post it or comment upon it. While a newspaper may feel that it is important to share that same story, kunyari, isang story, sa front page nito for any number of reasons, dapat muna, di ba? Kasi nung araw, syempre, ini-interview mo talaga, nakikita mo talaga, pero ngayon, yung iba, nagre-rely so nakita nila at i-repost na lang. Pero sana, bago mag-repost, i-verify niyo muna yung credibility or yung facts dun sa post na yun kung totoo siya, right? Kasi ngayon din, even yung mga tungkol sa bakuna, tungkol sa Delta variant, di ba, ang dami-dami nagpapalabas ng news, pero hindi mo alam kung ano doon ang totoo, right? Okay, so if the original post is generated in part because of personal identity, what others react to, and thus what social media promotes, it is often driven by both identities and what elicits a strong emotional reaction. Kasi tinatest din yan ng mga nagpo-post ko anong klaseng reactions or emotions sa mga ads, diba? Yung mga ads, bago nagpo-post, nagtetest mo na yan kung anong certain feelings or emotions ang nailalabas nitong ads na to. Yung mga fake news, ko, lalo na yung tungkol sa COVID-19, walang mabuting nabibigay yan kundi negative reaction to the vaccine. Kasi kung ano-ano sinasabi niyong masasama about vaccine kasi hodang anong brand, di ba? Laging there's something to say about it. Vaccination per se, right? Um, Viral content, okay, was designed and tested to accomplish tasks, okay? Ang viral content kasi importante talaga, especially ngayon sa social media, even in business or in, just chatting or whatever, or yan ng mga fake na sites na entertainment sites, uh, about news sa mga artista or anything, or yung mga skandalo, or yung mga Tulfo stuff. I'm sure like si Tulfo, bine-verify muna nila bago nila i-ano doon. Doon na nga nila bine-verify actually online. Pero like other people, right, before you post something or before you believe something, verify niyo muna. Kasi even ngayon, mga patay na si ganito, or whatever, na site sa ganyan, kahit na meron tayong mga real-time or live streaming, pwede pa rin i-fake talaga yung mga videos. Okay? Technology companies responded to this issue. Okay, sharing content that makes other people engage with their sites is a large part of what makes social media sites valuable, right? Importantly, kasi technology companies are legitimately reluctant. Sila ay nag-aatubili, atubili to engage in obvious censorship. Yun na nga yun eh. Pero kasi kailangan some degree gawin nila yun eh, like si Facebook, right? However, these limitations take on a different set of implications when the content is not personal photos or cute animals but distributing facts and news. Diba? Pero yun na nga physical things, diba? Yung pictures na monitor naman na nasa sensor kasi may mga iba nagpo-post ng malalaswang pictures or even mga words that are mga nang-aaway na and all nagmumura. For some reason, nasa-censor naman nila yan eh. Then, so why not fake news? Kasi nga, it takes a bit of effort and money and time to verify such things because magagaling yung gumagawa eh. Halos mukhang totoo. Tapos yun na nga, isa-isahin mo pang i-verify yan. From picture to yung mga sinasabi, right? Na ginagamit, it will take some time. Okay? But it needs to be done, right? Because see, yung repercussions na or yung effect niyan sa tao, masama. Lalo na itong COVID-19. We're dealing with solutions or with remedies to this problem of the pandemic. Tapos sisiraan mo pa yung tungkol sa vaccine. Diba? Kaya hindi lahat, di ba, hindi na-accomplish ng US yung sinabi ni Biden na dapat 70%. We're barely making 50%, I think. But I think, hindi ko alam kung as of today, ano na yung ratio niyan. Okay? Given social media's evolving role in the larger information ecosystem, as well as their active efforts to incorporate news content, the policies of large social media companies will continue to have practical implications for news consumers. The result is that they cannot absolve themselves entirely from any obligation to make editorial decisions or escape the fact that they already have. Okay? Even if it endangers their ability to be seen as neutral, algorithm-driven technology companies are still dealing with, trying to deal with it, no? Kasi nga, dapat nilang i-adjust yung kanilang analytics, diba? Ang kanilang basis ng kanilang mga information na ginagather. In the aftermath of all the recent coverage on these topics, many technology companies have admitted to the need to change how they operate. Buti naman. Facebook is experimenting with ways to remove known propagators of fake news and offering ways to flag stories as problematic. Buti naman, itag nyo na kung magkaroon na kayo ng ganyang kakayahan, pag lumabas yung news na yon, lagyan nyo na siya ng violator na problematic to, huwag kayo maniwala dito. It is also changing the structure of how the platform operates to discourage fake news. Example given, removing the ability to edit link previews, adding a disputed label and minimizing the impact of high-frequency posters, which has been associated with fake news stories. Kaya nga, yung mga banner ads, yung mga intrusions dyan, check nyo muna kasi yan ang nagiging viral, yung pala fake news, okay? Meanwhile, okay, Google naman has further tweaked its new algorithm, and Twitter is considering similar changes, okay? Perhaps even more intriguing for libraries, Facebook has invested in efforts to help teach its users how to spot fake news using potentially problematic stories as just-in-time learning opportunities. Okay? These changes are likely to solve the core issue, but they are admissions that the way news is structured in these systems matters. Talaga naman, kung paano nila talaga lineout to, kung paano to nakastructure. Ano pa ang role ng mga libraries in a social world? Okay? Technology companies can do more actually, but as long as itong trend na ito continues ng paninira or pagkakalat ng fake news, there will be incentives for companies to exploit them for profit. Both technology companies and libraries need to recognize that a core aspect of the problem is social in nature. It always boils down to social. Okay? The most obvious tool that libraries have at their disposal is the promotion of information literacy. Often the basic idea behind information literacy, the effort is to give patrons the ability to know when there is an idea, when there's an information, need, and to be able to find and evaluate information to meet that need. Kaya nga, pag nag-research kayo, verify nyo muna rin bago nyo isubmit yung thesis nyo or bago nyo ikalat sa mga madlang people yung nakuha nyo information, i-verify nyo muna. Okay? Alright. And in the idea of evaluating information, is it is the idea that we have a shared reality, diba? That we can know and measure, and that through the application of reason and science, we can come to an even better understanding of the world. Without that assumption kasi, users may be able to find information that meets their needs. But, yun na nga, yung nakuha mo information, is it legit? Tama ba yun? Ang mga libraries often attempt to remain neutral in the resulting debates. But, yung neutrality na yun is predicated on the idea na yung mga debates are taking place on a post-enlightenment playing field, and that eventually yung mga best ideas naman na nagsasucceed, no? Yet kung ang fake news demonstrates anything, it is that factors such as technological platform as well as basic human psychology can have a distorting effect on how information moves through society. In a way, this has always been true, but doesn't make it less problematic. So, sa technological plataforma and sa human psychology, itong misinformation can really take effect. It can have a good, not a good effect, but a very bad effect on people's psychological makeup and mental stability. Okay? So, we have to be aware that such fake news is going around, right? And how, I'm gonna show you, itong isa pang news bit that I gathered. Last August 5 to, lumabas sa Good News Pilipinas, alright? Tingnan nyo to. Lumabas to sa Good News Pilipinas. Ayan. Sa Cebu. Alright, Anong nangyari dito? Google and Canvas launched Cebuano magazine to help fight misinformation. This came out in Good News Pilipinas last August 5, 2021. Diba? Google and the Center for Art, New Ventures and Sustainable Development, acronym is Canvas, Center for Art, New Ventures and Sustainable Development. Canvas, nice, right? Have together launched in cooperation with Google. They have together launched the Cebuano version of You Think magazine to highlight the importance of local language diversity in battling misinformation. You Think is a local youth-oriented magazine that aims to address misinformation through media and information literacy. Filled with helpful articles, the 42-page publication comes in a fun and creative zine style format to engage young readers. It covers several topics such as the types of misinformation and their negative effects, why context matters, how to identify a fact from an opinion, and how to avoid falling for fake information among others. At saka yun na nga, hindi lang yun, ina-fake ka na rin bumili ng mga mga items, nag-fake news din yung mga ads. Kagaya nun, for example, ninanakaw din nila yung advertisement ng ibang tao, yung sa video, namamanipulate na rin na because of technology. Kunyari, yung Bello hair tonic, whatever, somebody was selling that and called it hair ball instead of hair bello. Pero, binenta rin yan online, tapos pareho rin yung presyo, $9.99 for two. And yun, kumalat yun because ginaya ng konti yung ad niya, pero the claims were the same. Pero siya yung nakaagaw ng market share doon kay Dr. Bello kasi naniwala doon sa fake na ad tsaka information. Alright? So going back to this Cebuano magazine, Cebuano version of You Think magazine, okay? This covers nga topics such as types of misinformation and their negative effects, okay? So, the magazine was translated into Cebuano by teachers and translators Hannah Aranas and C. Zook, okay? Written by Canvas founder and executive director Jigo Alampay, a lawyer specializing in information and communications technology, law, and policy. Good job. You Think was first published in Canvas in English in January 2021, as commissioned and funded by Google in the Philippines. The tech company conceived the title of the magazine to put emphasis on two elements, youth and their which is a vital force in addressing misinformation and critical thinking, which is necessary to exercise before believing, posting, or sharing any information online. Verify muna. Google is committed to help fight misinformation. Okay? We believe in the vital role of producing locally relevant learning materials to achieve this goal, okay? While we continue to take down harmful content and raise authoritative information on our platform. Sabi to ni Mervyn Wenke, Head of Communications and Public Affairs, Google Philippines, okay? People find it easier to understand content which uses a language that is local to them. That is why, together with Canvas, we published a Cebuano version of You Think. All right? Sabi ni Mervyn, hello Mervyn. Ano ka talaga, genius. Okay? Mervyn added, this National Language Month, Buwan ng Wika, and beyond, we need to take a more inclusive approach and use local languages. So more people, especially those going online for the first time or from vulnerable communities, with Cebuano as one of the country's major languages spoken by more than 9 million people, we hope that more Filipinos will benefit from this initiative. All right? So, similar to the first edition published in January 2021, Google provided funding support for the development, design, and publication of the Cebuano magazine. Wow! Initially, 5,000 copies will be distributed for free to schools, communities, and NGOs outside the national capital region. Right? So, itong magazine na to is to tackle also misinformation and to dissuade people from doing that by calling them out, in this magazine. Okay, the magazine includes letters and essays from several experts, including former Comelec Commissioner Attorney Louis Gia, infectious diseases specialist Dr. Edsel Savana, scientist and radio and TV speaker Dr. Reina Reyes, Ateneo de Manila Assistant Professor of Philosophy Dr. Jacqueline Cleophas, and UP Professor specializing in research on political communication and news media effects, Dr. Clarissa David. All right. So, along with the ongoing pandemic nga daw, nasabi tuloy, there's also an infodemic happening. Totoo naman, which is endangering the lives of Filipinos. Publishing the media and information literacy magazine, you think, in one of the country's major local languages like Cebu, will help address this problem. God willing, okay? Now more than ever, we also need the power of the youth, the target reader of the magazine, to uphold digital responsibility and critical thinking online. Okay, very good. So, on this note, okay, I'd like to say thank you for joining me today, talking still about the impacts of technology, but now talking about this issue of misinformation or fake news. Okay, so yan ang ginawa ng Cebu. They put up their own, right? Pero like I said, yung ibang companies are being looked into or looked at regarding their algorithm strategies or architecture, okay, na dapat na nila daw baguhin para mag-improve to be more what do you call this, useful to the employee, right? Okay. All right. So on this note, again, of course, I'd like to wait a minute. Do I have birthday greetings in order? Yes. Happy birthday, Eileen Season. Happy birthday to you, Eileen. Who else? Wala na. But anyway, I will greet na lang later again in the day. Eileen Season Gomez already. She's married and happily married, living in New York. Our Samba queen, you know. And I want to greet the Lakap family, of course. Tita Pri Maniago, si Tita Agnes, dyan sa barrio, sa Bacolor. And of course, Tita Heidi Lakap, na masarang at saka ang kanyang mga pagkain na ino-offer. Please tangkilikin nyo. And si Dax, hello attorney, kamusta ka dyan? And of course, I'd like to greet my immediate family members here, si Jenny Lakap, my better half, bitter better, bitter butter better. Okay, and of course my family. Oh, I'm great. Shout out na rin to Kiani, my beloved, and also John Hendricks, our beloved ni Jenny. That, you know, akin na ring love na one, of course. Kaya ayan ang aking mga 3 boys na nakasama sa bahay at sa buhay. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. We're still talking about the impacts of technology, and today we tackled a little bit about fake news, specifically yung misinformation regarding the vaccine na involve ang Facebook because again controversial yan, right? But na nagpa-promote daw ng misinformation ang Facebook tungkol sa vaccine. Kasi yun na nga, whether it's Facebook or any other social media site or platform, wag naman magkalat talaga ng misinformation regarding the vaccine because hindi nga natin ma-achieve yung herd immunity dahil dyan eh. Kasi hindi tayo nagkakaisa, right? Meron pang mga kumukontra at ayaw magpabakuna talaga for their own personal reasons, okay? But anyway, so please join me again tomorrow, Wednesday, okay? At sana masarap ang lunch nyo. Kami masarap na beef steak kami, tsaka gulay, you know, and make sauteed vegetables, okay? Thank you so much. Please always keep the faith, hope, and love burning in your hearts. Huwag kalilimutan magdasal at still hope all the time. Nakakalat ko pala sa Facebook. Don't ever forget that the Lord is bigger and stronger than the problems, right? Tomorrow will still be a brighter day always. Be thankful. Thank you very much.
Inyong natunghayan at napakinggan ang mga makabagong pamamaraan sa mundo ng online sa pamamagitan pa rin ng Broad Streamcast